Bill Mayer and a nod to Milwaukee. I'm not actually the mayor of Ann Arbor. They just sent a mayor to present to you all. But I'd like to talk to you about Ann Arbor, Michigan for a moment. And I'd just like to say that I'm honored, following cities like Berlin, Milwaukee. We're a 130,000 person college town. And if there's one theme I can assign to Ann Arbor, it's we punch above our weight when it comes to innovation in our community. So if you look at Ann Arbor, we have some rankings nationally. For example, we have the most PhDs per capita of any city in America. And congratulations and condolences to anyone on that. And so number 2, we're the best, go back one. Best place to live, number 2 in the United States, and number 2 in the nation for public school systems, all of that. Keep going, please. And a big key to the success of Ann Arbor is the University of Michigan. And why the University, and any University of Michigan alum in the audience? Oh, none. It's usually hard to go anywhere and not run into at least 1 or 2 of them. So the University of Michigan is the largest publicly funded research university in the United States. And it's really split evenly between the School of Engineering and the medical school. And so that's evidenced in our ranking of our disciplines inside of engineering. Back one, please. And so, looking at the output of these research dollars in the university, many startups are born. So we see about 50 startups. Now compared to Berlin, you guys are doing really well. But for a 130,000 person community, creating 50 new companies a year is a very nice cadence for us. And so, that is a way to create a great ecosystem. By the way, fun fact, we're the most engineers in the United States per capita. I'll give you a hint, it's not California. It's Ann Arbor. So anyway, more engineers in Southeast Michigan than you're going to find anywhere else. Now you can go to the next slide, please. And as everyone's been talking about in their slide deck, one of the great things about having a successful, innovative ecosystem is you end up, with a strong business community, you end up with strong, city government services, all of that. However, the downside is you end up pushing up the cost of housing, the cost of living, and all of that. So we've been able to do a nice job of staying in lockstep with the national average in terms of cost of living to be in Ann Arbor versus in other communities. So next slide, please. So let's talk about the companies for a second. The different areas of focus that we have in Ann Arbor, life science has always been a very, very strong industry in Ann Arbor. We've had successful exits by, if you've ever heard of Lipitor, the drug for cholesterol. There's a company called Aspirion Therapeutics that went public several years ago. They are a follow-on to the technology of Lipitor, dealing with cholesterol issues. All sorts of biomedical innovations and life science therapeutic drugs, diagnostics are being commercialized in our region. Digital security is another area where we're very, very strong. You may have heard of Duo Security, small little company that Cisco acquired for $2.35 billion. Not a bad day. Or anyone out there use the internet? So if you do, 90% of internet traffic flows through an Ann Arbor company called NetScout. So they're very in the plumbing of the web, but they are very, very useful in keeping our internet safe. And I'll just to mention too, another big digital security company named Cloudflare, which is based out of San Francisco now, University of Michigan grad that started that company. Even Larry Page of Google, U of M grad. So we're doing okay. Artificial intelligence, very strong. A lot of software activity happening. But if you think about Southeast Michigan, or Michigan in general, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? Cars, right? So, if you go to the next slide, please. We have a very, very strong mobility ecosystem in Ann Arbor. And so, I'll make the claim that Ann Arbor is the best place to launch a startup in the United States. And you can come at me about that in the questions. But the reason that I say that is the state of Michigan prioritized the innovation economy as a vector for growth and success in our region. So some programs have been developed that are very, very startup friendly. For example, $50,000 of grants, non-dilutive to any startup company that's based in Ann Arbor. We have incubators, it's easy to get an office space. Talent is always a huge issue for companies as they want to grow. You want an intern? We'll pay for half. We have a DEC, Digital Engagement Center clinic, where a faculty teaching team leads marketing students, and we can place 2 marketing students with each of our tech companies for a curated experience for through the summer, no cost to the startup company. Then we do these curated tours of our innovation ecosystem in downtown Ann Arbor every year that really shows off to our student population of the University of Michigan, which is about 50,000 undergrads, about 30,000 graduate and postdoc students, that shows them you don't have to leave Ann Arbor to find a very, very good job in a STEM field. So we call it the front yard advantage. We always try and make sure our students understand who is employing people, who's hiring in Ann Arbor, and the cool innovations that are being built right in their backyard. HU Tech 360 is a week-long celebration of technology. It's where all of our companies have open houses at the same time. You're able to go and tour the companies, talk to the teams that are building all of the products, ride in autonomous vehicles, do all of that. So it's a way to engage the entire community in our tech ecosystem for 1 week a year. And then obviously lots of events, education, and marketing of our region. So next slide, please. So I mentioned mobility. So mobility has been our biggest area of growth over the last 5 years. So I have 2 people on my team dedicated to servicing nothing but our mobility innovation companies. And if you look at the makeup of the companies, you have entities like Toyota, Hyundai, Honda, that are all doing Subaru, that are all doing R&D in the Ann Arbor area. But then we also have some infrastructure and facilities in place which are really helpful. For example, the first vehicle to infrastructure communications pilot happened in Ann Arbor. It was a federal grant to wire up communications infrastructure, and it was great. I actually applied. They were giving out free cars when this thing was first implemented. I didn't get one. A lot of BMWs were in there. And so the whole goal was to just see how it worked. And this was 12 years ago. So, it seems like an eternity has passed, and that's not so exciting anymore. It was very cutting edge at the time. The University of Michigan took it upon themselves to build their own outdoor testing facility called M-City. And then we, in conjunction with a number of other partners in Michigan, built a facility called the American Center for Mobility, which is a high-speed testing facility. The US government was just doing a platooning experiment there where you have these, many ton trucks driving 80, 90 miles an hour, about 6 inches apart from each other, measuring fuel savings. It was a little terrifying to watch, but you can't do that on open roads. So we actually have the ability to do that level of validation and testing at the facility in Southeast Michigan. And then looking at, companies that are building autonomous vehicles that were born in Ann Arbor. For example, there's a company called May Mobility that Toyota invested over $100 million in. It's a joint venture. They're using their Lexus platform to actually develop the autonomous vehicles, and their pilots here in Austin, around Texas, and Ann Arbor, around the rest of the United States. And so, with all of this activity happening in Ann Arbor, both the large companies, medium, and small, we have a very nice connected ecosystem where, testing, validation, collaboration is all happening in that space. And we're very proud of the work that's been happening, and we've been able to help. And that footer, 76% of R&D in the United States is happening in Southeast Michigan in the automotive space.
Well done. Do you want to yield your question time and wrap up
Sure.
in about a minute?
And that's it. Definitely. I welcome any questions. Thank you.
Great. That's state level support.